In today's lecture, we are going to learn the different types of chlorination that we generally use for treatment. So the first one is plain chlorination. Plain chlorination is a process where we do not follow any other treatment. We just use the chlorine as we know that the process of water treatment is a very brief process, and it is defined by various stages like sedimentation, coagulation, sedimentation aided with coagulation, screening, etc., etc. But all those processes are eliminated and only chlorine is put in the water. So no other treatment except chlorination is given to the water. Now this is generally given to those waters which are generally low in turbidity and clear waters, which do not require much filtration and all those processes. So it's basically just a waste of time if you go with all those processes. This type of chlorination is generally used in emergency cases where it is required for military purposes or somewhere like that. When the water is required very on immediate basis, and you have to disinfect the water obviously and give for usage. The general dosage of chlorine in this case is around 0.5 milligrams per liter. The next type of chlorination is called as pre-chlorination, as this word already suggests. Pre means something which you do before, right? So pre-chlorination means you are chlorinating the water even before your sedimentation process. This is generally done for waters which are having high turbidity. So pre-chlorination is the process of applying chlorine before the raw water reaches the sedimentation plant. This helps in coagulation and sedimentation and also reduces the loads on the filter. So the filtration process becomes much more easier when this pre-chlorination is done, when the turbidity is very high for the water. So pre-chlorination should be done in such a way that 0.1 to 0.5 milligrams of residual chlorine is maintained before the raw water reaches the filter plant. For this, the doses required are as high as 5 to 10 milligrams per liter. We know that after in the chlorine demand, in last video lecture I showed you the chlorine demand Venn diagram, right? In that I had told you the free or residual chlorine should be around 0 to 0.2 ppm after a contact period of around 10 minutes, right? So here, before the water reaches your filter plant, that residual chlorine should be around 0.1 to 0.5 milligrams per liter, or ppm also you can call this unit, before the water reaches the filter plant. For this, the doses are 5 to 10 milligrams. Pre-chlorination should always be followed by post-chlorination to ensure maximum safety. So it is not like, if you are adding chlorine to your water before sedimentation plant, you will not leave that water as it is to the public after a filtration process. Even after the filtration process, the disinfection has to be done using again post chlorination. The next, which brings us to the next term, that is post chlorination or just chlorination. So this chlorination that we call, this chlorination is nothing but post chlorination. Post chlorination means the one that we are doing after the filtration part, or the normally what is done. So instead of calling it this big name, we just call it as chlorination. This is the standard normal procedure of applying chlorine at the end of filtration when all the treatment processes have been completed. The dosage of chlorine should be such that residual chlorine in the system should be around 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per liter after a contact period of 10 to 20 minutes. So this I have already explained you in the chlorine Venn diagram. This residual chlorine ensures protection from any further contamination. So, and this also I had explained in the last video lecture that why that residual chlorine is required, because there can be a possible contamination when we are supplying the water to the consumer. So in between, if any contamination is there, that residual chlorine takes care of it. Next type is called as double chlorination. Now this double chlorination doesn't mean that you will be applying chlorine again and again after filtration. That is, after your normal chlorination process, you won't be applying the chlorine again. That is not the case. Double chlorination is just that when you are applying when you're using post chlorination and you're using pre chlorination both. So that's the normal case. The term double chlorination is used to indicate that the water has been chlorinated twice. That is, first you do this pre chlorination and then you do the post chlorination, which is required in all the cases. So two times you are doing this, that is why it is called as double chlorination. Right? So double chlorination is practiced when the water has higher turbidity levels. The next type of chlorination, and a very important one, breakpoint chlorination. Now what happens is, breakpoint chlorination is a term which gives us the idea of the extent of chlorine which is needed to be added in water, and if chlorine is added beyond this point, it will appear as free residual chlorine. So this graph has applied chlorine in milligram per liter on x-axis and residual chlorine in milligram per liter on y-axis. Consider a case where there is no bacteria, no pathogens, no inorganic, organic matter, nothing present in the water, and you are just applying chlorine. That chlorine, whatever amount you are applying in the water, that amount will be as free chlorine in the water, right? Because no chlorine is being used for killing the bacteria or pathogens or for converting the chloramines and all. So nothing is being used anywhere. So whatever applied chlorine is there, same is the residual chlorine, and this line is at a 45-degree angle, correct? Now if bacteria and pathogens are there in the water, the chlorine will be utilized, correct? So the same amount of chlorine won't be there as a residual chlorine. This is the utilized amount of chlorine. So you have added the chlorine this much, let's say a quantity of around 0.3 milligrams per liter. You had added it, and the residual chlorine which is left is around 0.2 milligrams per liter. So how much is used? 0.1 milligram per liter is used, and that is used for converting the ammonia to chloramines, or for breaking the inorganic matter. That is, we had already seen in the Venn diagram for what purposes chlorine is used. First is for to react with the inorganic matter, that is the ferrous and manganese and all. Then to convert the ammonia to chloramines, and then it reacts with the organic matter, right? So till point A, the entire chlorine is used to react with the bacteria and pathogens that are there in the water, and it is also used to form the chloramines. So till this point A plus the inorganic matter, chloramines formed and bacteria is killed, and inorganic matter, if it is there, it is reacted with that. So this much chlorine is used there. After this point, when you add more chlorine, now since the bacteria and all are killed, now what is left is organic matter. So after this point A, there is sudden drop in the residual chlorine, because the chlorine is used to react with the organic matter, or the organic matters are oxidized. So the residual chlorine is less here, because whatever chlorine you are adding, it is getting oxidized by the organic matter. After this point, see, now chloramines have been formed, bacteria have been killed, inorganic matter also has been reacted with, and organic matter is also oxidized. So what is left after this? Nothing, right? So after this point, when you add chlorine, it will just appear as free chlorine. So it is like you are shifting your origin back to here, and now your water is free of everything, and whatever chlorine you are adding is appearing as a free chlorine, and it is at 45 degrees. So after this point, you will be getting all is residual chlorine, right? So this point is important because after this point you will understand how much, till what point you have to chlorinate so that the residual chlorine left is 0.2 milligram per liter. Because what is our requirement? Our requirement is 0.2 milligrams per liter after some contact period, right? After the contact period of 10 to 20 minutes. So let's say this is this just a minute. Let's say till this point is 0.2 milligrams per liter. So you will chlorinate only till this point, so that this much residual chlorine is there after some contact period. So that is why this breakpoint chlorination is very important, to understand that how much should we chlorinate more so that the residual chlorine is there. So that is nothing but the statement what is explained. After this, and the addition of chlorine beyond the breakpoint is called as breakpoint chlorination. Simple as that. After this, we have superchlorination. Superchlorination is the term used when we are adding chlorine in very excessive amounts, or it is being added in the calamities, or when some epidemics are there, waterborne epidemics are there. So you need more chlorine to react with the bacteria and to kill the bacteria. So at that time, the superchlorination is practiced, and the chlorine which is used is huge amount, 5 to 15 milligrams per liter. This is done in special cases where the water is highly polluted or during epidemics of waterborne diseases. It may be used when there is suspicions of cysts of histolytica, or the cysts which are causing dysentery are present in the water. The residual chlorine in superchlorination after breakpoint is about 1 to 2 milligrams per liter, and it is kept for some required contact period. So this 1 to 2 milligram per liter is kept for required contact period, but this residual chlorine is very high and it is going to impart a very bad taste and odor to your water, which may leave the water to like you cannot drink that water. It may happen. So again, this high doses of chlorine, you have to dechlorinate it. So this very high dose of chlorine is followed by a process of dechlorination after the contact period, where excess chlorine is removed. Now, if you remove the excess chlorine, it is again susceptible to recontamination, right? So after this dechlorination process, you will again chlorinate your water so that the residual chlorine remained is 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per liter. So this is all what happens in superchlorination. Superchlorination followed by dechlorination, and again you chlorinate the water to maintain 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per liter of residual chlorine. After this, it brings us to the next process of dechlorination. Now, as I already explained you, dechlorination is nothing but removal of excess chlorine from the water. This is generally done in case of superchlorination, and dechlorination process is carried such that residual chlorine is about 0.1 to 0.2 milligram per liter. Dechlorination is done using agents such as sodium thiosulfate, activated carbon, sulfur dioxide, sodium metabisulfate, sodium sulfide, sodium bisulfide, and ammonia. So this is all for today's lecture. In the next lecture of water supply engineering, we will be studying about various types of distribution processes, because after your water has been disinfected, it has to be carried to the consumers. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you.